Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Boys from the Baltic Star. It's Saturday night, and on a Saturday night, we like to play a range of games. And tonight is a game which is unlike any other game we play. It's for a start, you may have noticed that there's no one on camera tonight, which is a shame because if we were, you'd see there were 11 of us. I'll go into who's here shortly, but needless to say, everyone is naked and in the same room, but more on that later if we decide to put our cameras on, which we won't. Hello, Lee. Good evening. I hope you're well. We will play for a couple of hours this evening. We will plan to play this through to the end. For those that have watched any of the previous two Darkness episodes, it's been a trip. It's been emotional, and so let's ride out the storm to the very end. First things first, this is a special evening, so we'd like to recommend for this game and this game alone that you consider turning your lights off or putting yourself into a dark state while you're watching. Not emotionally, you can if you want, but mainly physically dark. Keep a drink to your elbow, your ears to the screen, not literally, that'd be uncomfortable, and we would appreciate your presence for as long or short as you so wish. You can click the red sign if you so wish to get involved. I think I've left too many things on actually. I need to turn some more things off. Most things will be off for tonight, but if you do want to spend any points, please feel free to. There's certainly no point having a boon on. There will be no boons tonight. There will be no brunch tonight. There will be
Nothing good will happen.
nothing good. Nothing good happens of all those things. We definitely won't be standing for you in this evening. There's nothing but darkness and the lizards. The darkness and the lizards. That is all. That is all. That was Ewan, right?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, I knew that was you. So yes, um, I think that's everything off now that needs to be off.
Can I just jump in with a quick safety?
Yeah, please
Just a
do.
little bit of group love and taking care of each other. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it might be something that could be a bit triggering or a bit horrifying. So if you find yourself distressed, please step away. It's not rejection; it's self-care. And if you need somebody to reach out and give you a hug, just DM one of us, and we'll be here for you. And yeah, watch with love. Know that we are, no matter what happens, we are all friends. We love each other. We are all okay. We hope that you.
This is a very welcoming channel. We pride ourselves on it, and generally it's quite a light-hearted channel. This is one of the least light-hearted games that we play. I would suggest, but it is still done with that love and still done as friends, and we appreciate you guys too. I don't know about the other three. I would probably be less involved in chat tonight. I need to keep myself in a certain zone, I suppose. But it's a pleasure for all of you that that are joining in. Lee, for example, absolute pleasure having you with us. Thank you so much. Before I move on, I suppose I should introduce our players for this evening. I'm using players in a Shakespearean term tonight because for me that is what they are. And we're going to start. It's a shame you can't see him because he is my brother from another mother, the housewife's favourite, the Floofmeister General, a magnificent man with a magnificent pelt. He is Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Hey, Luke, I'm very good, thanks. I'm very good. I'm comfortable. I'm cozy. I'm sat in a dark room. I've had to turn my screen off from dark mode so that I can see any dice rolls that I might make, and my notes, which are reasonably extensive. For this one, but I'm good. I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
Fantastic. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, Ewan. It's your voice in the darkness brings a certain comfort. So thank you.
It's not what I'd go with, but thanks.
I'll take it. Next up, the smartest man in any room, however dark it is. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence, except for tonight, where his sleep appears to be dreamless. And right now, you can't see it, but he is being carried atop a sedan chair by six heavily oiled and topless Eastern European men. Look, there he is waving. You can't see, but he is. It is the indescribable Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Very well, yes. Much looking forward to some creepiness.
I think it's a beautiful thing, Ben, that when we do this in the darkness with no cameras, um, people can listen to you as if you were reading an audible autobiography or biography or a literary piece, I suppose. Maybe something about a 17th century poet, perhaps. It's if anyone wants to hire you to narrate their book, where can they get in touch with you?
Well, if they do, then I'm usually available on stream on Friday and Saturday nights. So pop into chat.
There we go. I'll work as an agent for him. He's got a beautiful voice, and it's even more
Yeah,
beautiful in
what
the dark.
percentage did we agree for my agent?
37.5%, I believe. I agreed that
I
anyway.
must have been quite drunk when I agreed to that. Okay, yes.
That's when we do our deals best. I feel when you're drunk.
I think it was based on the calculation of what 37.5% of zero is.
Well, that is true. That's true. How dare you? He's a wonderful speaker. He'll be worth far more than zero.
He writes the books. He doesn't read
I think he can double up. Let's hope so. Can you hear that voice, dear friends? That is our the third hero of this evening. A wonderful, wonderful person. She brings joy to our lives. 3 years now. She's stalked us.
them.
3 years. She's often to be found outside Ben's window, gazing upon his sleeping form.
And looking for chocolatey deposits in my drawers.
Exactly. She hates it when I shorten her name to Dick because she's actually called Sock Fiddler. Good evening, Fitz. How are you?
That's the worst introduction yet. But thank you very much. I am doing. I think I'm inappropriately cheerful because it's Glass Day weekend and good things are coming upon us. But I'm fine.
I'm fine. You're a bit cutty inny outy. Hopefully that'll be okay. Maybe it just adds to the only a little bit. It's because it stops starting. When you start speaking, you've just got to keep speaking. I think.
It's because we're in Discord, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to go for a few. So if you're going to talk, just keep talking. Don't take a breath until you've finished.
And then start talking. I have to do a Gordon Brown. Words.
Exactly.
This is like that Blackadder episode where actors always had to start with a roar.
Exactly. That's how you're going to
can't do
be.
a good Rick Mail every now and again. Life's not worth living.
Quite right too. Oh, he is missed. Anyway, dear friends, here we are. These are our three heroes. If you need to know, one of them is Theo, one of them is Maxwell, and one of them is Jane. And they're in a dark room, and they have been for a couple of episodes now. And where we last left them, they were stood in front of a chute, a waste disposal chute, which they had opened up, deposited a small mouse inside. At least we believe it's a mouse. And let it go down into the depths, hearing it squidge onto something. A whir of a dictaphone, and the words ringing out in the darkness. The third time they've heard them, and yet each time slightly different. Winston, Claire, Simone, Henri. Inside this box is food and drink. I'm afraid you'll be in this space for a long time. Make sure your supplies last. I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. And that's where we shall begin this evening.
Can you just remind me, is it a male or a female voice, or is it really hard to...
You haven't asked, it's a male voice.
Okay. And I seem to remember I'd made a backpack out of a boiler suit that we pulled off a dead body.
That does sound
And I
familiar.
filled that with food.
You did, because you did find some supplies in some shelving.
And we have wire, a sleeve that used to have a rat in it, and some fraying timber. Is that correct?
The sleeve also used to have an arm in it, to be fair.
Okay. Well, Jane. Oh, it's a rubbish chute, isn't it? So we threw the rat down the rubbish chute, then was there. So Jane. We're all holding hands in a line as well, I remember. So Jane is
Yeah.
like gripping him quite tight. She said, I don't know any of them. You?
They're not familiar.
Can you just remind me where exactly we are in my mental map, so to speak?
That would destroy the fun, would it not? You,
in my version of the way I've drawn it in my brain, so to speak, the room we started in, the exit's at the top right.
I believe that's what you said in your mental map, yes.
Yep. And that would mean that the room we are now in sort of drops down with its entrance at the top left. And the hatch was on the right-hand wall of this second space.
You are correct.
Am I right in saying we are just below that hatch now, on that wall?
I would say that we pretty much finished with you guys close to that hatch, yes.
Okay.
We just found a great big gap in the corridor that we haven't gone up yet.
Oh, that's quite exciting. Sox is calling in from Azerbaijan. What is the how many points from the Azerbaijan jury tonight, Sox?
La Fred, 12 points. So that's not an improvement in the microphone situation, I take it.
It sounds like you're on the phone, but actually it's not cutting out, and it's less in and out actually.
I turned the fan off, it's going to boil, but it'll be audible at least. So we'll listen to that for a while.
I like it. Now it feels like you're a figment of their imagination. I'm a big fan of this.
I'm just like Siri now, that's the voice on the phone.
Exactly. Actually, I'm really enjoying this. We should role play over the phone one day. It'd be really fun.
I think
Still good.
forgetting certain vowels that one of us has taken at least.
That is true. Ben often does.
Yeah, Ben denies it. I'm like, no, keep your chocolates to yourself. Anyway. Jane? As I recall, Jane has taken all this quite badly. And so she sort of makes sure that the huts are shut, and she sits down and she's like, does anybody want anything to eat or drink? Because I'm suddenly really hungry. And she takes the backpack off and starts rummaging about for food.
No, I'm okay. Thanks. I'm all right.
I have questions, obviously, that I don't know the answer to.
Some of those names were familiar. We've heard them before, right? But not all of them.
Not all of them.
Jane says, I don't know because my player lost her note.
This is the is this the second message we've heard? Am I right in saying that?
This is the
Third
third message.
Third.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the most recent, well, we say the most recent, arguably the oldest. Winston, Claire, Simone, Henri. Claire and Simone and Winston were in the last one we heard as well.
And Claire was in the first one. Claire's been in all three.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was Darrington in the first one, wasn't there?
Davinson.
Davington, I'm sorry.
And then the second one had Theo
and Carla. Winston, Claire, and Simone, and the third one had Winston, Claire, Simone, and Henri.
But the first one also had Jane and myself.
Yes. That's right. And there's the other question, I suppose, is how did the voice player end up down the death chute of death so my mouse could trigger it? Someone must have, put it down there, I would guess.
Well, either that or it's in someone's pocket, like the other two.
Yeah. And it might be that someone like Davington was the body we found in the other room, and someone like, I don't know, Winston might be the someone we found in the corridor. Maybe.
How many? Yeah.
Jane has her hand on the wall, and you said that there were those strip bumpers that ran along at the height where a bed would bump into them.
Yeah, like the sort of thing you'd find in a hospital. Yeah.
Yeah. Can she start trying to pick that one and see if she can raise it up? Sort of see if she can peel it off the wall.
As you pick at the sort of the raised strip along the wall, it feels like it might go at some point, but the likelihood is that you can feel on your fingers that you're more likely to rip a nail first.
You have some wire. Found some wire. She was hanging by wire. Can I get the wire and try and shove that down the strip? Jane's got this early impulse to start arming herself because she's pretty convinced she's going to die. And she really doesn't want that to happen. So she's going to try and, the only thing she can think of is pulling the strip off and trying somehow to fashion it into her. But it's, we have wire that can be pointed into a thing that she can then maybe shove down instead of ripping her nail off. Try that.
You wrap the wire somewhat and try and force it into a gap underneath the strip, sort of wiggling to try and get some sort of looseness to it. After a short time, you're able to find a bit of a gap, and as you push it through, the wire sort of comes out over the top of the strip. At the top,
Okay.
so it's underneath the wire's underneath the strip with sort of an end.
Can I hold both edges of the wire and try and use them like a cheese wire and pull it towards me so it just continues to slide along underneath the strip, being strip in the wall?
You sort of grab the other end and you start to cheese wire it, sort of pulling and sort of tugging, as if you're sort of cutting through to pull it out. Could you roll a d10, please?
We're not in roll 20.
Can someone roll on for her, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I trust you.
Yeah, I have no bad experiences ever with D10s. That's a 6.
Oh, okay.
As you're sort of pulling on the cheese wire on the strip, sort of easing it, forcing it away, really. This reminds you of a tragic moment comes to mind that to keep you going as you're sort of tugging on it and pulling on it, you share it with your two unknown colleagues.
Well, she's in quite a dark place now, literally, figuratively, metaphorically. She starts muttering, and it's that kind of inner monologue that seeps out when people aren't guarding themselves because they're so preoccupied with other things. And she starts, "Excuse my thing. She starts just saying, "It can't happen again. It can't happen again. I won't let it. I can't let it happen again." He fell. He just fell. Nobody pushed him. It was an accident. It was just an accident. It can't happen again. There's no way. It won't happen. It just won't happen. It was just an accident. And she's sort of really aggressively pulling the ship off the wall now.
And just sort of playing that over and over in your mind. So a memory that was black, it was gone to you for a while, coming back, sort of visions of this incident. It reinvigorates your energy, and you start to feel the strip come away from the wall, but it doesn't come away in sort of a meter long strip or whatever. It just sort of bends out towards you and buckles along. You can sort of hear it at meter, 2 meters away back behind you from the way you came. Makes it, from what you can tell, it's this strip is meters and meters long.
Fine. She's just going to follow it all back, completely now unaware of the other two. She's just going to obsess over this strip and coil it around her hand as she goes along. Is it stuck on? Is it glued, or is it nailed on?
It's a solid strip. It's not one that you can wrap around. It's be like a hard, sort of very hard sort of plastic type.
Okay.
It feels like it's been made for purpose, like it's been jammed in and maybe like hammered in or something like that. There's no joins that you can sense. It's just well fitted, I guess. It's the right piece for the right place.
I take it goes back the way we came.
Yeah, back down along that wall that you came from, back into the other room.
The lady that we slumped against the wall after we undressed her.
In fact, as you chased her, she was more in the middle of the room. It's like the middle of the space. It's more of a corridor, that bit, wasn't it?
Yep.
As you follow it back, the two others of you, Maxwell and Theo, you sense her muttering, getting a slight bit quieter as she vanishes away from you quietly.
Yep.
You get a few meters back, Jane, and your foot, as you're going through, sort of brushes against that body on the floor. As you sort of continue past, you're sort of pulling at this strip, and now that you've got underneath it, it's coming away, but there's literally no end of it in sight.
Doesn't matter. As she reaches the body, she shouts at her, "It was just an accident. You don't know. You can't tell me. It was just an accident. You just do what you need to do, and I'm going. Don't. It was an accident. That's all." And she's pulling the strip, and she's just she's heading back towards that corner now where the shells were. She's on a mission.
You're shouting. In that point, you notice it's strange. It's almost like a bat's echolocation, I guess. It's the first time that one of you's really raised your voice in it. You can sense it bouncing off the walls nearby, clearly in sort of more of a corridor, just a couple of meters across space. But you can hear it almost bouncing off the wall in front of you in the distance where the shelves are.
Yeah.
It's a voice. It's despite the sort of echo, it's flat. It's as if the walls are sort of deadening in some way. Your hands have run across them. It's all very like enclosed space. It feels.
Huh.
Yeah.
Pulling, muttering, much of the same.
Theo, do you remember the second rule?
No. What's the second rule?
Stick together, help each other.
Don't feed them after midnight. Come on.
We should
never get them wet. Okay. Okay, then I guess we have to follow. At least we know we can find our way back here if we need to. You good with that?
Yeah, we had 2 rules. We should stick to them. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. We have to be straight with each other and we have to stick together. All right. We're going to I assume we're going to go together. We're going to head up and follow the same path along that wall.
Yeah.
Sort of around the top corner and follow along the same line without. Not going to sort of just randomly try and walk towards the wall. We're going to walk towards the voice. We're going to stay in contact with the wall until we get to the shelving. Okay?
Whichever of you is at the front of the two will feel immediately that strip is jarred and buckled somewhat. That as you run your hand over it, it sort of flicks out slightly with the hand. Your fingers can sort of go a bit underneath it, I suppose, as you go, and it's very easy to tell that she's managed to tug this strip loose, but from the feel of it, it doesn't feel like there's a loose end yet.
Right. It's away from the wall though a bit.
Yeah, it is away from the wall a bit.
Can I tuck my fingers in behind it and just for not along its length, you understand, but just feel along the inside and feel if I can feel any like raised writing, like a manufacturer's name or anything textured on the underside.
You run your hand along it on the inside. You sort of brush your knuckles against the inside of the slight recess, which inside that is metal. It's more metal than the outer wall. It feels a bit cooler to the touch. Running your fingers sort of as you walk along, running them along the strip. You can feel every metre or so there's like a sticker. You can feel it sort of a bit of a shiny sticker that might be something like that. You come across you do briefly come across some bumps at some point, like a series of small dots that seem to follow it's hard to say, like a little grid of 6 or 9 at a time, and just run along for a few centimeters, and then the dots are gone again. Raised bumps.
Have I found just one of those or more than one?
In like the few meters you've gone so far, just the one set of that.
Okay. Are they like a single row, or are they how many long by how many high, if that makes sense?
Of course, bear with me a second.
Can I just say that I'm totally anticipating that Ben is fluent in both Braille and Morse code?
I am fluent in neither of those.
It's from what you can tell, it appears to be about 3 high, and goes on for. You could count it, but it's probably dozens.
It's a few.
Dozens of dots long, yeah. But it's 3. You can tell it. It's definitely. Sometimes it's 1. Sometimes it's 2. Sometimes it's 3 high.
Yes. Okay. So when it's say 2 high, would the 2 dots be in line with ones that were 3 high? Is it effectively like the row of 3 but with a gap?
Yes.
Rather than two sort of in a different.
Yeah, it'd be like
spread out across the vertical.
Yeah, and sometimes the 2 are at the top. Sometimes there's 1, then a gap, then another one. But they're all aligned in a sort of a grid, as if it was the same 3.
Go for it, Ben. He's giving you a code that means nothing because he knows you're going to spend 3 hours solving it.
And are there? If I check in pairs along its length, is there a sense that the rows, the columns, so to speak, of 3, do they come in pairs of 2?
Yes.
Is there a slightly larger gap
Yes.
between each pair of columns?
Yes.
Okay. I will immediately call out to both companions. There's Braille on the back of this runner, but I don't know how to translate it.
Ben, could you roll? Ben, could you roll a d10 for me, please?
I certainly can. D10, D10, D10. That's a 6.
And another one, please, because we're going to need to add that on because you've already had a 6.
Okie dokie. One more. That's a 6. Don't be worried about the fact that I've now rolled the number of the beast.
You're very good at it.
It was mistranslated. Apparently, it's 616.
As you're sort of, the fact that you know that this is Braille is strange because when you first touched it, you didn't even know what anything was really. But the more you touched it, the concept of Braille came flooding back to you. It's linked to something from one of your earliest memories. And as the other two are sort of wondering, how does he know Braille? How does he know? You share this earliest memory with them.
I can be absolutely certain it's Braille. When I was a child, my sister and I used to communicate with each other in secret at night, and we looked up all sorts of forms of communication. We didn't end up using Braille, which I'm currently really regretting, but we looked into all of them. So that's how I know that Braille is 6 dots in a 3x2 grid. And how I know I can't translate it because I never learnt the alphabet.
What did you end up using?
The prisoner's knock code.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if that's worrying or not.
He's singing classics from Peking Opera. Don't ask me to explain, but you will occasionally hear a "oh, yeah." It's
Okay. Anyway, I've unable to translate Braille. I'm going to press on and follow as far down the route as I can, hoping that we will catch up with Jane.
What happens when I get to the corner? Does it just bend, or does it stop and restart? Or do I have to move furniture to find out?
The strip runs behind the shelves. You lose it behind the shelves. You pull it and it sort of gets caught a bit on the shelf. They're heavy steel shelves ultimately, and as you pull, it gets wedged into the shelves. You can't really move it at this point.
Can I push the shelves over?
You wouldn't be able to push the shelves over as it stands.
Can I take things off the shelves? Can I find that case, that wooden box?
Well, as we said before, there's piles of paper, there's boxes, there's cases, which you can certainly start pulling off the shelves if you so wish.
I want something hard that can be broken into something spiky. So like wood and splinters?
There's no wood.
What was the case made of that we unlocked?
Like a kind of a molded plastic.
Can I try and shatter that then, please?
You can certainly try and shatter it. How would you plan to do that?
I would put it on the floor upside down and jump on it. And hope that my jump is more than the case is designed to sustain. And if that doesn't work, I don't know, go nuts. She's not thinking that clearly right now, to be fair. So she's just determined to arm herself somehow. She's convinced they're about
to die. You start jumping up and down the case. Theo, Maxwell, you sort of start hearing this the plastic this molded plastic that was scraped onto the floor, and then you start hearing her jump up and down the pants of sort of exertion. You sort of hear a crunch and crackle of plastic shattering. You hear a howl of pain as Jane's foot lands on a shard, I guess, a shattered shard, going through the bottom of her foot somewhat, and the scattering of plastic as it sprays out and clatters out into the darkness in multiple pieces.
Jane, are you okay?
I can't. I've got to get it out. It's stuck. It's right. It's gone right through, and I have to get it out. It's really sharp, though. We can use this. I just have to get it out.
Out of what?
My foot. He's like bewildered that this is so obvious.
I mean, I'm sure it would be really obvious. I can hear the frustration in your voice if we saw what happened.
We're reconstructing it from sound. Sorry.
They're going to be coming. Everybody's dead. Everybody dead first. We're going to be dead next too, and then there's going to be more people, and they're also going to end up dead. We have to be ready. They're going to be coming. They're going to come, and we're not ready. And this is in my foot, and I can't take it out because it's stuck and it hurts, and we're not going to be ready. And we have to you have to help me. Let's get ready. Sobbing.
Okay.
Helpless.
We'll keep going until we actually get to her, because she won't be far from the shelves, will she? She'll be right there.
Yeah, like a step or two from the shelves.
So we'll keep talking as we come, and say, we're on our way. Hold on. And when we get there, say, Jake, sit down. We'll try and get this out of your foot if we can, and we actually feel other bits of plastic under our feet as we move.
Yeah, as you're walking towards her, there is definitely a couple of sort of crunches, some small
plastic like bread bins are made of. Those cheap bread bins.
Yeah.
Like old typewriter cases.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Out the best idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
more blood.
I will try and work out based on where the voice is. I will try and find a leg if I can.
I will have my leg going from wherever I'm sitting on the floor, pointing towards the corner of the room. So if you're following the shelves, you have to walk into my leg.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Then in that case,
that's not my leg.
I'll keep going until I bump into a leg.
No, it's the other leg. What's wrong with you? God, where are you going? It wasn't my fault, It was an accident. He fell. I was just there because I was. Everybody said it was me, but it wasn't. It was coming. They're coming, and we are not ready. Again, we're not ready.
Well, you're probably right, but let's try and get this thing out of your foot first, okay?
Fine.
If I grab the other leg, the one I didn't bump into.
Grabby leggy. Any grabby leggy. Yeah.
Yeah, I assume I can find both ankles, so to speak, if I reach out and run my hands along the legs. Yeah.
I mean, she's able to feel where your hands are, and so she offers. She proffers the injured foot towards
Okay,
your arm.
all right. I'm going to crouch down and say to Jane, right, I'm going to lift your foot up, okay? And then lift it up off the ground, just a few feet.
Just one foot.
Just the 1 foot.
Ewan. She's like, water, get the water. In the bag, in the bag, there's water. We need. I have to be able to run. We need to run.
Okay. I just want to get it elevated a bit for a moment, okay?
Oh,
Can I take the sleeve of my coverall?
Mm-hmm.
wait, the rat sleeve.
Either sleeve. And I want to wipe around the ankle of the leg fairly thoroughly with the sleeve, and then take it away, wait just a few moments, and then see if I can detect any fresh wetness on the ankle.
You definitely feel the wetness seeping through into the sleeves quickly. First time through, there's definitely blood. It's definitely
Right?
blood coming out. Say again?
Oh, I see. It's running down. Okay.
Yeah. And sort of there's a few drips. You sort of can almost. It's so quiet in the space, I guess. You can almost hear a couple of drips drip onto the floor. As you're
Okay.
wiping, you push it in tight. You sort of clear it all up with the water. You clean it, or you pull the sleeve away. You can say it's heavy. You know, it's got blood on it.
Yep.
You pause for a minute, and then you put it in again to it.
Yep.
The blood is the flow is maybe lessened somewhat, but it's still bleeding. It is still bleeding. It's
Okay. All right.
but it's
I'm
not
gonna.
it's not gushing. It's not gushing. Let's put it that way.
Yep. I'm
And
gonna
I mean,
say.
Jane is flinching, but not otherwise screaming or vocalizing anything. She's still just muttering.
Okay. I'm gonna say to
Something
her,
about the floor.
it's bleeding quite a lot. And
Sort of thing. Doesn't matter. We'll all be bleeding quite a lot. It doesn't matter.
yeah, and it'll probably
Right.
bleed more once I take the bit of plastic out.
Take it. We're not
Yeah.
ready. Take it.
So I'm going to call out to Maxwell and say, have we got anything we can use as a tourniquet?
Well, not as it stands.
No.
There's a piece of plastic on that wall, but I don't think it's coming off.
No, and it's too stiff, isn't it? It won't bend.
Ewan, could you make a roll for me, D10, please?
2.
This a sense of sort of futility washes over you. Your inability to offer a helpful comment, or be able to sort of help, to not understand how to do it, I guess. Suddenly triggers this old memory of yours linked to a pet that you once had, which you think that maybe sharing that might be the best thing you can do in the situation.
I can't think of anything we've come across. It seems silly now, but when I was younger, my my cat leaped out of the tree. They got spooked by something. The giant tree in our backyard, and broke its leg. We had to try and find a splint, and we didn't have anything that would work. And I just ran around the garden, trying to find anything.
Jane pauses, considers, and then says, "But it was an accident, right? It was an accident. You didn't do it. It was an accident. It just happened. That's just how it happens. You didn't mean it. It was just an accident. That's just what happens. It's just a fall. And then it's not you. It's just, I don't know what it is. It just happens like that." And then
it's not even an
takes
accident.
the foot and just pulls, just absolutely manic. She just pulls the piece of plastic.
Hey.
We have to go. They're coming. They're definitely. We have to go.
Do I detect a rush of blood when she pulls it out?
There is a sort of a splurt out of blood, and briefly the flow increases in strength.
Okay. All right, Maxwell, can you find a sharp piece on the ground and try and cut off one of the sleeves of my coverall?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I can do that. And he'll start feeling around on the ground for something of a suitable size and pointiness.
It doesn't take long. It scatters around. There's a piece that's quite sharp near you, actually. That's 5 or 6 inches long. A sharp point, and one of the sides is pretty jagged and gnarly.
This should work. Left or right?
I'll sort of pull my left arm out of my sleeve and hold it out for him to find in the darkness, and I'll say, "This one here. You run your hands up until you get to the body. Cut it off as close to the shoulder as you can."
Yeah. And he will. And he'll try and see if there's any stitching at the top that might be a weaker point that he can start cutting the arm of the overall off.
Jane, really not doing well now. She sort of feels her way. Sorry, are you Theo or Maxwell? I don't remember. Oh no, you're Theo, Ben. Okay. She feels her way to Theo's face.
Yeah, I've still got your ankle. I'm holding it up.
Oh yeah. She pulls
I'm not letting go of that yet, because I need to find it again when I tie it off.
She's pulling it out of your grasp, like really suddenly, and she finds her way to your face, and she hisses, "Just don't see," and then she fidgets about on the floor for any piece of plastic she can find, and then she's on her feet, and you can hear her lappy wet foot as she follows the wall back to where we started by the chute. Well, that's a silence. Yeah, she's gone.
Okay. So you're heading onwards around past the shelves, basically.
No, back to where we came. She remembered that there was something that she could potentially find and use as a weapon. She's done the best she can to, and she's now so out of herself with just anxiety and fear that she doesn't notice her. She's all adrenalized and her foot is irrelevant to her now. But I guess occasionally she's going to slip on the blood. She's running, but she's following the wall, like the strip that she's pulled off the wall. Following that.
Okay. I'm going to call out to Maxwell. I've lost her. She goes. Okay.
Come on then, let's.
I'd keep hold of that if I were you. And I'm going to reach down and see if I can find one as well.
And you can. Her kicking and her sort of forcing it down shattered it into numerous pieces. There's the biggest one you can find in a quick sort of hand around without wandering off too far into the darkness. You can find one that's 3 inches long, quite narrow and pointy, more like a shiv than a wider knife, if that makes sense.
Maxwell will say, no, I don't think I need this. I'm not going to be any use with it, and he'll kick a piece that's around by his foot to like make a noise like he's dropped it, and he'll just slip it in his pocket.
Okay. Can't blame you. One thing, there's a slightly unhinged woman with a blade out there.
Well, and several rats, maybe.
Miss my rat.
Well, we know where it is, roughly.
Yes, it went down the death chute of death.
But more importantly, Jane. Rule number 2. We should follow her.
Yes. Yeah, we should. Okay. I'm going to reach out and grab a forearm of Maxwell or something so that we move together, basically. And head back into the second room.
Yeah, I need.
You make your way down the corridor, hand in hand, I suppose, carefully avoiding the body on the ground along that corridor part. You can hear Jane up ahead as she sort of slams into the bit of wall at the far end next to the chute. A slight clang on that, which sort of helps reposition where you need to be. And by the time that happens, you're only 5 or 6 meters behind there, and it's a space that the two of you can make up without too much of a problem. The two of you together, you feel a bit more secure walking in the darkness when you're holding on to someone else.
On injured feet.
Well, the two of you, the two guys, to have moments of slight slippiness of the blood that you've sort of trailed behind. But you, Jane, off the sort of...
My base camp is grateful. That's all. These are my breadcrumbs.
I'll let them know where you are.
Yeah.
This is a slightly darker version of that fairy tale.
Yeah, the Grim Tales are pretty bad. I feel I'm just going back to the form, to be honest.
They are definitely bad, and I'm pointing out that you've managed to make them creepier.
Her blood crumbs.
Blood
A blood crumb trail, yes.
Really? This is good for us. We do eat well tonight. Okay, so Jane's still muttering the entire time, and like this incoherent, we're too late, they're coming, nothing matters. There's a lot of kind of existentialism, and it wasn't my fault. It seems like she's very much like stuck in the past now, and just it's like her trauma is reverberating off whatever memory was triggered. And now she's just completely unaware.
It's actually helpful though, because the muttering gives us a frame of reference.
Yeah.
And it does mean that you do make it up to her, and the three of you sort of find yourself gathered back by the last point, the furthest point, I guess, of reference you've had so far, which is by the waste chute on that wall.
What do you do when you get to Jane?
I think we're going to follow around the wall, but get back to that same location.
I mean, are you going to touch her?
I'm going to wait until we get close enough to that the muttering's directly in front of us, so to speak, and then say, right, we're here. We still haven't finished exploring this room. We should find out what else is here. There may be a way out.
There's no time. There's no time. There's no time. It's the names. They're all different. Everyone's names. Everyone's names. Where is our 4? There are only 3. 4 names, 3 of us. Where is our 4? Where? 2 bodies, that means 5. But we are only 4, there's always 4. And what?
The first two had 5 names.
Yes.
The third one had 4.
Again, I lost my notes. But also, I kind of didn't want to work that hard on finding them because I figured that Jane was Dark Either.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It's kind of organic.
There's no consistency, Jane. There's no reason.
You realise you're saying there's somebody who's profoundly traumatized. You also have no reason.
Yeah.
She's working away along the wall again. She's trying desperately to map the room in her brain.
So you following the wall along from the waste chute in a direction you guys haven't gone yet?
In the new direction. Yeah.
So if the waste chute is on your left hand,
yes,
you continue
so I
following
go over
so your hand brushes over the waste chute for a short while, and then barely half a meter beyond that, the wall vanishes out of your grasp. To the left, you sense that maybe there's quite a sudden corner there, but where your hand was running along the wall, suddenly there's just empty space.
It makes a jump, sounds startled, and then takes a step back, tries to reconnect with the wall and follow it in the direction.
You sort of your fingers play around the edge and then find that there is a corner, like a right angle corner away, and you continue along that wall with your arm against that. As always, there is that strip, that sort of whether it's foreboding or it's comforting, it's there. It's an ever constant, and while you're at that height, your hand runs across it. Every time your hand bumps above or below, you sense that wall again slightly pitted, with the odd poster or something of its type sort of running against it. And it's another couple of meters, and you pretty much run face first into a wall.
Excellent. Now a broken nose. I mean, in all likelihood, she would have gone into that with some force.
It's very likely.
Yeah.
In fact, it's sort of loud enough, that clump, that Maxwell and Theo, you hear it. You're sort of, I guess, just by the waste chute, you've heard her suddenly vanish around a corner and a clump, like maybe 3 or 4 meters away.
Okay, I'm going to follow down the corridor. So this is the side of the waste chute we haven't done before, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Follow down in that direction and see if I can find the next thing and identify by touch what the corner is. As I do, I'm going to say to Maxwell, okay, let's see what else is in this room.
Yeah, sure. Let me just finish recoiling after that sound. That sounded nasty.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Are the two of you following around that corner or carrying straight on into the space?
Okay, so go through this in my brain again, because in my mental map, which may I understand be completely upside down from yours, I'm now going down the right-hand side of the right-hand room.
No, there was a corner. Right-hand side of the right. There's the shelves, straight the way down, and then a chute. And then
the hatch is on the extreme right of my map.
No, yeah, okay. Okay, I'm accepting that.
Yeah, of
Then
the
there's
way
Jane's
I've
right.
got it in my head.
Yeah. I can see. I can
Jane's
see.
right hand.
I can see how you'd have it in your head that way. Yes.
Okay, so I'm now walking down from that.
Yeah. It's only about half a meter after the hatch.
Okay, and
if
I
you're-
get to a corner.
Yes. And
And
in your mental map, that's going right.
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So it's an outside corner. Great.
It is. Yeah.
But it immediately hits the wall.
You're like 3 meters, 2-3 meters on from that.
And
There's
that's
a
where Jane is.
there's
Jane
a
is
there's
from,
there's a
from
crumpled
blood
Jane.
and
Yeah.
poison.
There's a slightly crumpled
And
Jane
I'm
a couple
gonna-
of meters ahead.
Yeah, without taking my hand off the wall, so to speak, using the old maze trick, I'm going to continue around that corner and follow to where Jane went, splat or bleep or whatever sound effect we're using for sore face.
Crunch, clunk, clunk.
Kerplunk.
Yeah.
A nose clonking.
Yeah, I guess the marble clunk works.
I've only got one sound effect tonight.
Yeah, that's the one.
That might be the cry that Jane let out.
Sorry, I was too slow.
It just makes it better.
She hit herself twice.
Okay, so if Jane is now stopped where she walked into that wall, as I approach, I'm going to head towards that corner where she is, and I'm going to call out, Jane, are you okay?
We don't have any time. There's no time. We have to go. We have to go. She's slipping about on the floor. You can hear like the squeaks of the squeaks of plimsolls on school gyms. It's that kind of.
Yeah.
But it's bare feet on a damp bloody floor. So
Yes.
she's squeaking and trying to regain her feet. And
Sounds like there's a squash match going on, in other words.
yeah, so she's like trying to climb to her knees and doing a little bit of that Hanna-Barbera where your feet are moving but you don't actually progress anywhere.
Yeah.
Without the
It's almost the sort of classic Scream Queen trope of sitting with your back to a wall with your feet sort of scrabbling at the floor to show how frightened you are.
Drew Barrymore. She's absolutely doing a Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to get up to there until I encounter either the wall, though I'm actually going to put my hand out in front, or the squirming Jane.
Yep. You sort of get one hand on each, really. Sort of one hand. The more outreached hand sort of reaches the wall as your more cautious hand seems to alight on her slightly hunched shoulder.
Okay, Jane, I'm here. Okay, try and calm down. I have no good news to give you that would make you calm down. I'm just hoping for the best.
We have to go. It was just an accident. But we have to go. They're coming. They're coming.
The wall is a hard turn to the right.
Yes.
Okay, so in my mental map, that's down.
Yes. that is absolutely correct. Yeah.
Okie dokie. All right. I'm going to say to Maxwell, Maxwell, can you find out if we're in a corridor or how wide this space is? I don't want to let go of Jane for the moment.
Can't go alone. We have to go together. Together. We have to go together. Come on. We have to go. We have to go now. We have to go together. We have to go now. Let's go. We have to go. Wasn't my fault.
Yeah.
No one's blaming you.
They all blamed me. They all did. You could see. They didn't say anything, but they didn't have to. They all just looked at me in that way that they do. You know, that way where you just know it was never the same and it was an accident. Nobody believed me.
I promise
Never.
I'm in a
Never
world
said
of not
anything.
looking at you or anything else right now.
Jane is now trying to crawl. Sorry, Sayo, we did give a little bit of a trigger, but it's honestly everything is fine. We're fine. So Jane is on. She gives up trying to stand. She just starts crawling. One hand on the wall, and the other hand is like. So she's doing a two-leg, one-arm crawl now. Like a bear.
Okay. What I'm going to try to do. We're back to Traveller Daisy Chains. Can I stay with Jane?
Basically, the language you use sometimes. It is Pride Month. You should be more aware.
And keep the other hand vaguely where Maxwell can reach it, and ask him if he can reach the other side of a corridor if we're in a big open space.
Yeah.
As we move, because I don't really want to stop her moving if she's more happy moving.
And the shard of plastic is in her right hand, and it's flicking on the floor every time that she's moving. So every time she puts her
that's
hand
not
in,
serial killer at all.
Well, she doesn't want to lose it. She's definitely not wanting to lose a wall either.
I don't want her to lose it either, in any sense of the phrase. Okay, Maxwell, can you reach the wall the other side? Are we in a corridor?
Maxwell will keep hold of Theo's hand and then outstretch as far as he can in both directions to try and see if he can feel a wall on the other side.
So I'd like to point out that you are very aware that she's got something that she's intending to use a weapon. He put his in his pocket, and you're calling me a serial killer. And he put it down and he put it in his pocket.
He doesn't know it's in the pocket. They can't call
I
him
don't
a
know
serial
that.
killer.
So you actually said to Jane that's where a serial killer is.
Well, no, not out loud, but
from where he stands, holding on to Theo's hand, sort of far, he goes to the far reach, almost like fingertips. You can't reach the wall or a wall. You're just sort of standing out in the dark. I don't know if you're sort of walking forward as you do it, but you're very sort of out in the open here, and I think you have this momentary sense that the space is bigger and that suddenly you're the one that's very much dependent on the other two all of a sudden, you know. You're quite out there.
I can't feel a wall. It feels like I can't sense anything.
okay.
Jane, did you want to?
You have to come back.
Don't jump, but I'm going to shout.
Together or nothing. Together or nothing. They're going to come. They're going to hear.
And Maxwell just lets out a scream to try and get that Bats Echo thing that we had earlier.
The scream pierces the silence and the darkness like an explosion in the night. Really, the screech echoes off around it. It feels like it shakes the foundations. What you can tell from this sudden horrible screech, that even as he said it, catches Theo and Jane somewhat by surprise, sending the hairs on the back of their necks and arms sort of springing out. You can sense from your sort of echolocation that you are again in a larger room. That this is not a corridor, and that the closest wall is where Jane is, but perhaps it opens out a bit beyond her.
Okay. All right, Jane, you want to keep moving? Let's keep moving. I'm going to keep a hand on Jane's shoulder.
You're going to try.
I'm going to give it my best shot. If I can actually grip the material of the jumpsuit to give me a bit of purchase, so she can tow me along if she moves.
Are you actually saying you're grabbing onto Jane now?
Yes. The outfit more than the person, but yes.
Oh, that makes me very uncomfortable, Beth. Okay. She struggles a bit, and yeah, she's now trying to move forward and trying to get out of your grasp. The muttering intensifies. She keeps
I'm
trying
going to
to
try to not actually slow you down, just go with you when you move with my fingers tucked in your jumpsuit.
Maybe on any of this would be an utter delight for me, but tonight, difficult. Okay. So she's going to try and cover as much ground as she can, Luke. She's just going to try
Go
and
for it.
get through like the perimeter of this wall, of this room, wherever they are, moving as quickly as she can with like an injured foot and slightly doolally sense of reality now. But she's going to keep one hand on the wall. She's going to doggedly move forward, cover as much ground as quickly as possible.
Okay. Well, as she sort of makes that decision, as Theo's fingers sort of wrap around her collar, sort of keep her firmer grip, and she just starts striding forward with the hand out against the wall. It's literally 2 strides before she runs into another of those outside corners, and the wall vanishes away from her to the left. She, having experienced it before, Jane's fingers managed to sort of clutch onto it round the corner, this time almost clinging on and able to pull her round. And having turned that right angle, she's walking forwards again in that angle. Theo, you're with your fingers on her, on the collar of her jumpsuit. You're pulled around with her. It's sort of a bit delayed, but you sort of, and briefly, Jane, you feel a tightening on that before he manages to catch up with you. Maxwell suddenly, who's already on sort of fingertip ends with Theo, there's this moment, Maxwell, where as they're yanked around the corner, you lose total touch with Theo. You're suddenly thrust into the darkness with no contact at all of either three. In that moment, you are utterly, utterly alone. And can you please roll a d10?
That's 2.
And another one then, please.
That's a 1.
And another one, please.
Ooh.
Like I say, we'll do this
That's
playing
another
cards
one.
if we play it in person. Keep going.
That's a 6.
Oh, we can do that. Okay. That sudden loneliness in an instant, it triggers a memory of a friend, a situation with a friend. That in your panic you sort of call it out in the hope that they realise that you've sort of been left behind.
Oh my god! If you shut Claire, I'm done. It's over between us.
I remember being alone. Being alone with a friend. It's a weird memory. We were together, but they were no longer. They were no longer with me. They weren't here. They were dead. And it's a horrible feeling. And he takes a moment of that aloneness, and his mind's going quite quickly. I think at this point he sees the escalation and perhaps the panic. I don't want to put words into people's characters, but the panic in Jane.
I think you can describe it as panic. We're fine. Yeah.
maybe I'm better off on my own. And then his thoughts flash back to that moment that he's just remembered from his amnesia, whatever this is, and lunges forward to try and find the end of Theo's fingertips again.
You sort of flail around for that minute, and those few seconds feel huge. They suddenly feel you're sort of choking back that panic, trying to not lose it altogether. Just keep an edge of that sanity. And on sort of the fourth or fifth rushed and sort of wilder and wilder swing of the arm, you do briefly brush against what is likely to be Theo's hand.
Is that you?
Yeah, you got me?
Yeah. I got you now. Thanks.
Is Jane still moving along this wall? Am I still walking with her?
Oh, let's just consider, yes, Jane is powering and muttering. I don't want to continue to do the voice of Santa because that's
But the
quite
muttering constantly, no. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, the muttering, yeah.
As you're sort of rushing along, muttering, with just that hand out against that wall, following that strip, your forward momentum is suddenly halted as you crash waist first, like waist height, into something that doesn't move. You sort of lurch forward, leaning over it, which suggests it's not a wall. It's just something that is at waist height, and you hear the scattering of several objects off this onto the floor around you. And you sort of
Can I
brace
just
yourself.
ask, is it human body shaped?
No, I would say if you're willing to sort of feel it with your hand, it's
I think involuntarily she would have to put her hands out. And
it's table or worktop shaped, and table or worktop height.
Does it yield? Does it move away from me, or is it against something?
It does not. It does not move. It might be bolted or welded or jammed into something.
Poor Jane. Now she's winded herself at the ribs as well.
It would certainly send the breath out of you for a moment, for sure.
Yeah. So she just sort of doubles over like she's been gut punched. Temporarily stops muttering. Desperately feeling, trying to figure out what is happened to her. She's panicking. She's hyperventilating a little bit. But also, she's a little bit relieved. She was expecting something truly horrifying.
Yeah.
And actually, she just found a table. So in one way, she's a bit reassured. But also, it just feels like the sword of Damocles that's hanging over all of them is just a little inch lower now. Yeah, and she starts urgently feeling about on the table. And so the little plastic bit banging on the table with one hand, and her other hand is trying to figure out what she can feel here. You said things clattered, and she's trying to figure out what they are.
Yeah, so the things that are on the floor, of course, you won't be able to feel with your hands, but on the table, there's reams of paper which immediately get fluttered out. As you sort of flailing around, they immediately get fluttered out into the space. The three of you can hear that sound of paper just like, and sort of then suddenly scattering on the floor. You know that sound of paper falling to the floor.
It's more dozing in the paper, that particular sound that it made when it unfolded.
Yeah, so it's like that, on the way down, it sort of flicks out, and it's on the way down, more that printer paper. There's there appears to be some more sort of cans and small storage things, nothing like the box that you had before, just a few bits and pieces, quite light, as if they might be empty, perhaps. There is another, what you could sense might be a dictaphone from your experience now, so you know what to expect with a dictaphone. And you can feel there's like a, as you sort of run your hand over more, there's like a screwdriver. There's
that's in the pocket, thanks, done.
And a few sort of maybe a few screws and sort of bits and pieces like that. Some gaffer tape type roll.
Oh, I mean, she's going to MacGyver the shit out of this now.
Yes.
Okay, so we established she was a scientist and she's got a little bit of know-how. She just scatters the piece of plastic. That's irrelevant. She's got a real weapon now. She's got a screwdriver. Is it a flathead or a fillet? Let's really find out. Or is it one of those really cool hexagon ones?
It's a Phillips. Even because we know that even lightsabers use Phillips screws.
Of course.
Is that true?
Yeah. If you zoom in on a clip of it or something, there's a Phillips screw. Yeah.
Every model of sonic screwdriver was also Phillips.
There you go.
How crazy is that?
I'd have thought it was like those Nintendo ones, so that you couldn't take them apart unless you bought a special screwdriver to stop you from replacing that.
Or this whole room is sponsored by Apple, and you have to get an adapter for everything.
Or you avoid the warranty.
None of our chargers work.
Okay, she's galvanized. She's found stuff. This is great. Her brain suddenly kind of clicks back into mammalian mode instead of this reptilian terror that she's been experiencing. And suddenly she's back. She's still frantic, but she's conscious again. She gets the screwdriver. She starts like feeling about for other things. If there's a screwdriver, there's something that it was used to unscrew. So she's trying to figure out what that might have been. But also, with a screwdriver, you can start destroying. And if you can destroy stuff, you can make stuff out of the stuff that you've destroyed. Is Jane's logic.
I like the logic. Can I move alongside her on to the workbench to her right?
You certainly can. The
There's
workbench
one thing
seems to be a couple of meters long, so you can definitely
Okay.
get alongside it.
There's one thing I'm particularly curious about, which is if I reach across it, can I feel a wall behind it, or is it freestanding?
If you lean right across it, about a meter behind, like a meter away from you, there is the wall.
Okay.
The wall of the
All right.
corner.
Your bit is in the corner. Your side
Yep.
is in the corner. Ben's comes out. Theo's
Yep.
comes out a couple of
Yeah.
meters
So
along.
I just wanted to find out if there was room the other side of it, if that makes sense, or if it marks the end of our journey in that direction.
There is room the other side of it, for sure.
Oh, not a corner then.
No,
Okay,
your side is a corner. So yours is where the wall
Oh.
becomes a corner, and then it goes out 2 meters from that corner, and then the desk ends, and there's space beyond that.
Oh, and then the wall
behind it might do. All you know is all you've reached is that behind this worktop, the wall continues.
Jane.
Okay, so it sticks out from the wall.
Mm.
But if I reach over the worktop beside her, away from the wall,
Mm-hmm.
I can't feel anything beyond the worktop because that's empty space.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it's attached to the floor because it didn't yield when I bumped into it at 4.
And it still hasn't yielded.
And it's attached to the wall, your side, but my side, it's empty. It sticks out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can Jane take your hand, put it on the dictaphone?
Mm-hmm.
Because she used to say, we don't have this. We don't need this. This is for us, but it's for them. It's more for them than for us. We don't need this. Let's not. We don't have to.
I know what you mean.
There's no time.
There's got to be real information here, and it might be the one we need.
Jane's got nothing. She's not muttering anymore, though, so there's that. That's that happy news.
I'm gonna if she's just pressed the sort of dictaphone into my hand and explained this to me, I'm going to call out to Maxwell. We have another dictaphone.
Maxwell needs a silver hammer.
He does. Are we planning on listening? Whilst this is going on, Maxwell's fumbling around on the floor, I guess, trying to find the what sounded like paper that fell off, to see if there's anything he can glean from it.
What you do gain from it is a paper cut, scrabbling around for paper in the dark, like a fool.
Don't worry, Maxwell. We'll try to find you some lemon juice for that.
Gaffer tape would be good. Well, if we're going to listen.
I think we have to, honestly. I mean, it may just be more depressing names, but maybe there's actual information. Maybe this is the one we were supposed to find, which should tell us what's going on.
Yeah, I'm so with you. Oh yeah, I've had human centipede in my brain a number of times, and I've not wanted to say it out loud, but he's just said it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not alone.
Well, literally not, 'cause you got a person
Yeah.
stitched to your front and your back.
That's the whole premise, isn't it?
It's the whole time these two are doing whatever they're doing. Jane has got a screwdriver and she's going to be trying to find things to unscrew, whether that's the table from the wall or a box or.
Okay, then I'm definitely going to hit play on the dictaphone before she decides to unscrew that.
Oh, okay.
So you say you've hit play?
Yes, please.
There's a sort of a bit of a whir, a bit of a play on, then it starts, and briefly there's that sort of hissing silence where you know where it's playing and recording. You know, it was recording and now it's playing, but nothing briefly for 5, 10 seconds, and then suddenly a voice. It's a different voice. Hello, Gavin, Shun, Harumi, Maxwell, or whoever the hell you are. My name is Steve Arthurton. I'm so glad you can hear this. At least I hope you can. I'm in charge of disposal here. I mean, I was meant to dispose of you, but if you can remember, then maybe that can hold a key to your freedom. There's a door, and beyond that, I just hope you found your memories.
Why would they do this? Why would they do this? Listen.
Found our memories.
You have to go.
Taken, or did we just, go through a thing?
You have to go. There's no time. They're going to be coming. It doesn't matter. So, out of character, haven't we heard that name before? Haven't we heard Steve Atherton before?
No.
No.
Oh.
We know Maxwell.
I thought we had somebody with a last name in the second session. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Not that I have in my notes.
Okay. It could have just been me fever dreaming.
Or I just didn't write it down.
Yeah, that too. Always a possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only name in that 4 that we know is Maxwell.
Yeah.
And we know him because he's currently holding onto my arm.
I am. Doesn't it strike you too that if we need to find our memories, and if as Theo has said, they were taken, where are they keeping them?
They're not commodities. They're not like batteries. You can't just take them out of a person and put them in a drawer and wait for somebody to be like, oh no, I've lost my brain. That's not brains. That's not how they.
No, I just think they were taken, and they must be keeping them somewhere. And the last place we were in, with the shelves, it just felt like a storage room.
There's nothing there.
I don't know why.
Oh. Look, is that a table or is this like a desk with drawers?
It's a table. It's just mainly like a worktop. There's no drawers.
Okay. I take it you would have said if Jane had managed to unscrew anything of any kind of interest or value.
I certainly would have done, yeah.
Fine. Then she ducks under the table because she wants to carry on not breaking contact with the wall.
Is our lovely Theo following her under the table?
Yes, I'm going to crouch down and do so as best I can, please.
We both reach floor as lava.
Theo, can you roll a d10, please?
I don't know. They bring me out in terror. 1 second. Right, a d10, you say?
Yes, please.
That would be a 9.
Could you roll again, please? We're going to need to add to it because we've had that.
You just revel in making me roll d10s.
I'll make you roll them over and over and over again. You don't even need
That's
to.
a 3.
I'm just enjoying you doing it. And again?
And a 5.
And one more time.
Wow.
This is a festival of d10s. This is the d10iest game we've ever played.
You don't need to roll it, but I'm just enjoying making you do it.
6. We're back to 6s again.
Okay.
No.
As you're sort of holding on to Jane and you crawl under the table, and there's a moment where you're sort of under that sort of worktop table, a memory comes flooding back of a past, a hobby or a job that you held, and sort of you sort of allow yourself a sort of a moment that sort of here I am under a worktop, and you sort of feel the need to share it.
It's as I sort of just brush my sort of my shoulders or the back of my head against the underside of the table as we're going underneath. And a thought suddenly hits me, and I say it out loud. It's like, I really miss not having anything above me. When I was little, I remember I used to fly those little planes you make with rubber band propellers, you know? Used to make them out of balsa wood and fly them. And though they never went very far, the thing I really did like, now that I'm thinking about it, because I don't remember it at the time, is how much headroom there was. There was a lot of headroom, and I really miss being outside.
Jane, she tries really hard to find a response because she's aware that she kind of lost the plot for a little bit. She's still quite traumatized, and she's also aware that Theo at no moment left her alone. So all she can do is reach back and find his hand and just give it a quick squeeze, like a quick supportive, you're not alone squeeze. And then she just carries on
going. Maxwell,
hopefully we can make it to the other side of the workbench.
It's not too far. It's only a meter or so. The question is if Maxwell, yeah, you feel the coats turn to trees.
There's a little guy with goat's legs.
But speaking of which, Maxwell, are you following them or?
Now at all I am. None of us do. We can't see.
That is true.
Yes, I will follow.
Are you going through underneath behind us, or are you going round the edge of the table?
I'll go round the regular way.
Okay.
You are.
We haven't actually gone round that corner. We don't know if there's anything in the way, of course.
But he took his chances and he safely gets around without smashing into anything. And sort of can hear the slight grunting and clambering from you guys coming under the table. It's hard. It's easy for Maxwell to slide back around the table and reach down to take hold of you again, Theo.
Excellent.
Oh, Jane pulls up for a second. Her foot has stopped the throb. She's suddenly aware that she's actually really quite badly hurt. But yeah, she's sort of holding her foot. fumbling, trying to figure out exactly where the injury is, and it goes right through her foot. So there's definitely some kind of bone and muscle damage. But increasingly, she's finding that it's very difficult to maneuver in any way because his foot's really ruinously painful now. And so um, she she just says, I need to bind my foot to something or I can't continue. And we have to get out. We have to get out now.
Well, we've got the sleeve of a overall, and we can tie that around your foot to ease the bleeding.
I just need to compress it to stop it from swelling, really. Keep it numb.
Excellent. Then I'll tell you what, sit on the workbench.
Okay. Use it. Hampers up. I take it there's loads of crap that she has to knock off the table, but they've already explored and discarded it as useful.
Yeah, there's a few bits left that you can easily just knock aside.
So she gets up, knocks it off.
Okay.
She seems oddly, can I say, without remembering, because I'm kind of folding it into the science thing, but she seems to instinctively know how to apply pressure and
In fact, I'll tell you what, let's make a roll for it. Let's make it something. We've still got some numbers left. Go for it.
Okay, Ewan, please can you roll for me? Because I don't trust Ben. Love you, Ben. Don't trust you.
That changed very quickly.
Yeah.
That's a 10.
Oh.
Always roll well for you. This sitting up on the table, this wrapping around of your foot with the bandage brings, I think, quite aptly, a memory of friendship to you, which you have this sort of sudden warmth flood through you, maybe replaced by cold suddenly or remaining warm, but you can't help but share it with Theo.
It's a little like that time at the beach when thought it was sand all the way out, but we put our foot down because the tide was coming in really quickly, and all of a sudden there was a shell and it went. We didn't know how bad it was until we got back to shore and all the blood into the sand, and just like that time. Funny. Anyway, we need to carry on. Let's get this done. You guys are giving me some weird silences that I do not understand.
I'm going to, as best I can, finish tying up the foot, binding it up reasonably tight. I mean, not insanely so, but tight enough to provide some pressure.
Yeah.
Maxwell's there in his mind. He's at the beach. He can just imagine the sand underneath his feet and the warmth and the lapping waves.
I'm inspired by your picnic earlier, and that's what that was.
Yeah, a little bit.
She kind of puts hands on her foot and sort of tests it, and actually is present enough in her mind to say, "That's a good job, dear. Thanks." Say that. We have to go though. We really have to go. We really, really need to go. And then she's back on the floor, like testy at first, just seeing how much she can put her foot onto her foot now. But it's not slippery anymore because I'm assuming her toes and her heel have been uncovered. So she's got grip again. And she finds that, given her sense of urgency, she's able to press on with 2 feet on the
floor. It doesn't take much more pressing on until you reach an internal corner, and as your hands push forwards, you feel something that you've not felt so far in this room, and that appears to be a door frame. Ooh,
Like a push door to open door.
it is very much a closed door.
Yeah, but is it one of those, you know, like in the fire doors that have the bar that unlock it in a hurry? You
It
can push on it and
it
release
does
it.
not appear to have a bar. In
You
fact,
see
it's
how
the
hard to try there, guys?
in
You
fact
see?
in fact it's the only part of the room that doesn't have a big bar along it.
Oh, Luke.
Oh,
Oh, the irony.
painful.
Door. There's a door. I've got a door.
A
Can I
what?
see open hinges, please?
You feel for the hinges. There's there doesn't appear to be any. It's like the you run your hand. It feels like there's a where the door reaches the door frame. It just feels like it would vanish into the door frame.
So on the outside of the door that opens into the space beyond instead of opens towards us.
Your guess would be that it opens neither in or out.
And it's not a door.
That perhaps opens sideways.
Ah. Jane doesn't have that much intuition right now. Doors are binary, that's as far as she's concerned.
That's such a 1950s view.
Yes, there's only two types of door. And what the other type of door does in its own home when I'm not watching is entirely its own affair. Happy Pride! Okay, so she's feeling about the door. Can't feel any hinges. Is there any detail on the door, like a window or any kind of handle or anything?
You the inside of the door is absolutely smooth, like jarringly smooth. Like you're used to the wall that's a little bit chipped and pockmarked and that, but the door is metal and it's utterly smooth.
Almost like polished steel or something.
Yeah, I was just thinking of steel.
The only thing you notice as you sort of feel around the door and the door frame is that directly next to one of the door frames appears to be some kind of keypad.
Okay.
I've suddenly had this terrible thought, which has nothing to do with my character's brain. But do you know what I'm suddenly thinking? Is what if all this game has been is Luke recreating Alien Inception with us? Suddenly we're going to meet like a Dumpy Joe, and that's going to be curtains for us.
If you met Dumpy Joe, I'd do a little fear poo right now.
No lockers. What's going to happen?
That's a locker, yeah.
Arguably, we are in the largest and most complex and elaborate locker in the whole game.
But yes, let's go with an excellent point. There is a keypad, and I have. Well, do we know it's a keypad? I mean, I take it there's a grid and a bar.
Yeah. You run your fingers along it, and you do feel that there is a grid of keys. From what you can tell,
Can
like
I see
a 3x4.
bottommost left key? Because that's always a star, and they don't count as presses when you're making guesses. And I want to see if it likes that.
Presses are guesses.
Presses are guesses. Yeah, the bottom left. I want to press the bottom left. No, we didn't. You missed it, Slayer. So Ben was looking for Braille, and he found Braille, but he doesn't know Braille. I went on a little vandalism spree.
You press the bottom left button, and a hatch underneath Ben opens, and he dies. No. No. You press the button. There's a strange pause and a crackle, and a voice you recognise. Hello? Hello? Who is this?
It's Claire.
Doesn't sound like Claire.
Who else would it be?
You tell me, I need to know.
Really has no idea how to respond now. Her one gambit, pretend to be a dead woman, done. Yeah, not an imaginative woman. Not an imaginative woman now, Jane. I can't do an Anna kiss and try and change her. It's just do her way through the door.
She's got him big on a single move, a single gambit.
Yeah, she's rolled her dice. Didn't hit. We're fine. Two snake eyes for Jane, and she ceremoniously gives Theo the screwdriver. You now, Padawan. No, she's done. And she does actually give the screwdriver to Theo. Oh, Maxwell. It's Maxwell. Poor Maxwell, all forgotten in the background.
Poor Maxwell.
Screwdriver.
Thanks.
Do I recognise the voice?
Yeah, it's Steve Arthurton.
I'm going to say, Steve. Good to hear your voice.
You know my name. That's good. Who is this?
You left me a message, so you should know who it is.
Yeah, but do you know who you are?
Yes. I know who I am.
What's your name?
Theo.
Theo. I'm so glad that I'm finally able to speak to you like this. You're clearly not alone here. We're at the doorway. Do the others or other know who they are? Because that wasn't Claire. I should know.
I'm Jane. It's Jane.
Jane.
Oh, Jane.
Jane, it's a joy to hear your voice. I hope you're well.
I'm bleeding to death out of a foot injury.
Theo, Jane, is it just the two of you?
And Maxwell.
Ah, Maxwell. I knew you'd make it, Maxwell. I knew you'd make it. You always do, Maxwell. I can rely on you. I can always rely on you. I'm Steve. You're Theo. You're Maxwell. And you're Jane. This is wonderful. But an important question: do you know where you are?
Not exactly.
I want to go home. I want this to be over. Does it matter? I need to go.
We're at the door.
But which door? Do you know where you are?
It's the door next to the workbench.
In a big room.
Maxwell starts feeling around for the strip that runs around the middle of the rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Quite frantically. And he's trying to get the screwdriver in behind it to pull it off.
With the screwdriver, it's a much easier job than with the wire. Let's put it that way. It pops.
And we really leveled up that weapon, right?
And he picks it up and starts running his fingers frantically along it.
It doesn't take you long. You find what I think I know what you're looking for.
Jane's only plan now is just to try and keep this fella talking. We're in the room just along the corridor from where somebody was hanging from the pipework overhead. In a suit with a tape recorder at the bottom. That was nice. Thanks for that. That was lovely.
If it wasn't,
if it wasn't bleeding out.
If it wasn't for me, it'd be much, much worse. Believe me. Do you know where you are? This is important.
In a hospital.
You're not in a hospital.
Oh, Jane just sort of murmurs, "In hell," and
Is this a shelter?
This is not a shelter.
We're in storage room 6.3.
There's a pause. Maxwell, you are in storage room 6.3.
What? When?
But I must know the three of you. As you know, I am in charge of disposal, and as I took you into this room, laid out, unconscious, I whispered the code into your ears, and this is vital if you wish to leave. You must delve down through the memories that you have released. And if you can remember some of those things, below them, I hope at least one of you can remember the code.
Oh, I really...
Theo, please, tell me a memory. Any memory. Something that you have remembered in that room.
As a child, I communicated with my sister using a prisoner's knock code.
Maxwell, please give me a memory that you've learnt in there.
Maxwell's sat down on the floor at this moment and is... My cat fell out of a tree and I couldn't help it.
And Jane, well, Jane,
my grandfather loved me after my brother died. It wasn't my fault.
You know, it wasn't your fault, and he truly did. And each of you, I just want you to delve down beyond those memories and just give me a number, because deep down in your memory of hearts, you know that each of these is a code to this door to your freedom. Don't think too hard. Just go to that same point and just give me a number. Theo.
5.
Maxwell.
6.
Jane.
7.
You sort of, the voice at the other side gets a bit fainter, and you sort of hear in the background, you hear him sort of as if speaking off to the side. He's like, reintegration's complete. And the last thing you hear from him is he says, enter the code.
If I can find the button with the little raised thing on it to indicate where the 5 is.
You certainly can, yep.
I will enter 567 and see if that's okay.
You enter that. Maybe there's some cynicism in there, or some wonder, or some uncertainty. But you enter the code, and as the 7 is entered, there is a clicking noise, and the door slides open. And as it slides open behind, there is a bright light. Maybe it's not that bright, but for you in there, especially you at the front, Theo, it's overwhelming. It's not natural light, it is artificial light, but it is bright, it is warm. It's almost like you can warm your bones in it. It is refreshing. Jane, that panic of the darkness, part of it at least evaporates, right? There's that claustrophobia of the darkness. You're suddenly bathed in a light for just that sort of those few seconds, and your eyes are sort of flickering and blinking it back. Really hard to find. And you sort of feel the light sort of fade a bit. It's not because the light's gone down, but because you're sort of getting used to it, I suppose. Yeah, exactly. And you're gazing into a corridor. It is clean looking. It is whites and greys. And it
does it have a plastic strip going along where a bed was bumped into it?
It does have a plastic strip, and
I tried to annoy you with that question. I've got to be honest.
it's a blue plastic strip. You look, and next to the doorway that you're in, it does indeed say storage room 6.3, and underneath it says waste disposal. To the right, the corridor ends, I suppose, and to the left, the corridor heads off around a sloping corner, slowly to the right.
Okay, so Jane, correct, for quite the day. She has this bizarre juxtaposition of relief, because they seem to have made some significant progress, but also a deep sense of distress because it's still clearly not over. There are no EMT crews with tiny foil blankets and sirens and lights waiting to take them to safety. It's just more kids. So she just sits to the ground and starts sobbing. Just has a little moment where it just all comes out for a minute. It's just too much.
Okay, I'm not going to leave her. So since I'm also not going to stay here, the obvious solution is to firmly grab her by one wrist.
Oh, I thought you were going to heroically haul her over your shoulder in a fireman's lift.
And pull her to her feet, and then I will indeed throw her over my shoulder.
Where the eagles fly.
Maybe Linda Ronstadt.
Yes. You always are.
Theo.
Theo?
I don't suppose you could do me a favour. Could I borrow your other shoulder? And I'll reach out a hand.
Reach out and touch me. There you go. I'll give Depeche Mode. There you go. You're welcome.
Yeah, of course you can.
In a very feeling around for your shoulder kind of way.
It's light. See it. Wait. You look. See. Can we all see? Wait. We can see. Right?
Maxwell can't see.
Is Maxwell blind? Fuck, all the way off. What? No. Because Maxwell's blind.
Very much has whited over eyes and sort of
bro. Wait, can Theo see? Can you see Theo?
Yes, I can see.
Hey, Maxwell, do you know Braille? Because there is Braille and what is even
Storage room 6.3. That's what it said. That's where we were.
Okay. And yes,
I didn't know until the door opened.
Oh, yes, by all means, put your hand on my shoulder. We're heading out and up that gentle slope.
The the three of you head down the corridor. There's doors every now and again, sort of same sort of slidey doors with some keypads outside that suggest different storage rooms. They all have red lights on the outside that suggest they are well and truly locked. You make it to the top as it slopes around, and it it opens out into a very large, very large rectangular room.
I'm gonna kill fucking Steve Everton. That's what I'm gonna do.
Overhead, there is well, you can see out of the room. Let's put it that way, and but you don't see sky or blue sky or trees or anything like that. You just see an inky blackness with sparkling stars. And in front of you, as far as the eye can see, rack upon rack upon rack upon rack of small containment devices. The ones closest you can see all have a window with a visible face.
Do they all have like a Claire and a Theo and a Jane and a dude that we found in the?
Well,
I know what game this is.
well, the closest one to you doesn't have any names on it, to be honest. It's just lots and lots and lots. And that's
Can I look at the faces of Theo and Maxwell and then look at the faces of the people in these containment units and see if they match?
Well, you can look at the faces of these two people with you. And you approach the first one, and you look. They all have like a little readout on the front, and the first one, it doesn't say Theo. It doesn't say Maxwell. This one says Winston. It says Winston 432. And the one behind it says Winston 433.
433. No.
And the next one says Winston 434. And the one behind it, Winston 435.
Luke is the Umbrella Corporation, and we're all Alice.
As you're standing there, a figure walks towards you, I suppose. But he's a long way off. You have time. He's the full length of the room away.
What does he look like?
Where are we? Sorry, you go on.
I think a where are we can work first because he's still a long way away.
Yeah, so Maxwell will say to the other two, where are we?
A room full of I don't even know how to describe it. Containers for people, like frozen people or cloning people. And there seem to be a deplorable excess of Winstons, each of them with a number.
I'm going to try and limp my way round and see if I can find Jane.
Right.
You
All Theo's and Maxwell's, but mostly I want to find Jane and see what number we're on. Like, are they all on the same number? Are they all on Winston or Theo or Claire or whoever 332?
You walk down the road. The next name you recognise, it's a few rows down. You find Claire.
Oh no.
Claire it's a different number. It's 398, 399, and so on. Further back. As you sort of look at the device, you sort of press around on the device to see what it might show. It gives you a list as if it's like a birth and a death date. Like Claire 397 died 31:15.
I don't know.
Claire
Yeah.
396 died 30:83. As you scroll back and back through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, you sort of see that death date getting earlier and earlier and earlier.
And earlier by a fair few years each time.
Yeah, some you sort of you sort of do the same with the Winstons, and sometimes it's a few years, sometimes it's 30, 40 years, sometimes.
What is the earliest date and what is the most recent date?
The earliest date is 2084, and the latest date is 31:17.
Oh, did anybody know that Luke could be the sadistic? Did anybody know that he had this in him? This is amazing to me. Okay.
The man is approaching closer to you. And he sort of holds out his hand sort of in a welcoming way, I guess, to the three of you. He points at you first, Jane. Says, "You must be Jane." Who am I kidding? I know you're Jane. I've spoken to Jane many, many, many times. And you, Theo, you're smart, Theo. You're always smart. Maxwell, what is it about you that means that so often your clone just can't remember the original's memories? Every time when you're awoken, if you can't remember, we have to dispose of you.
Why?
It's what they want. They want, if we're going to restart, we need those memories from back on Earth, right? We need those things that made us human long ago. It's not what we can do. It's not our ability. It's memories. It's all those things. It's
miserable, broken people who are forced to remember the most awful things again and again, life after life after life, remembering the deepest, most dramatic, awful. Somebody hide herself in there.
But that is.
What are you gaining?
It's humanity. Humanity is not running 100 meters in 7.4 seconds. Humanity isn't making a perfect sandwich. Humanity is remembering and how much you loved Minty, your first guinea pig. It's remembering holding hands in the dark in the cellar for the first time with that girl that you fancied. It's remembering that smell of the cleaning fluid when you were sat in hospital with your mum lying there in the bed. That is humanity, and that is what we must cling on to.
Everybody will have those experiences, no matter what you put in front of them. Why do we need to be punished for it? You have those memories. Have you done this 300 times?
My job?
If you fall over and scuff your knee, you would have an emotional response to that. That's also humanity. Without you having to put up with all of this shit.
For,
Do you know what we've been through in there?
For hundreds of years, they just got rid of them. Every clone that couldn't immediately hit a high enough percentage would be burnt off, gone. But my forefathers, I suppose you could say, came up with a way to hide your way in a system totally in the dark, a way to try and trigger those memories back, to show my bosses that we can save people, we can bring you guys back, that memory can be reclaimed.
What's your number, Steve?
Steve.
My name.
Sorry.
My name is Steve Arthurton, and my number, just like yours, Theo, is 452.
What do you remember?
Yeah.
I remember sitting on the beach with the sun setting, looking out, remembering that it was to be my last night on Earth, that I was leaving my family, those I loved, to take on a role as pretty much a janitor, a cleaner on a ship, knowing that I would never see the destination, knowing that supposedly it was for the good of humanity, but knowing that I really had no other choice in order to ensure my family could eat. And that was me, 451 Steve Arthurtons ago.
Well, I hate to tell you this, Steve, but humanity isn't found in a dark room.
Yeah, this is how we find humanity. It's a pretty shitty thing to find.
Yeah. And the fact that you were unwilling to help us or let us out of there and set us ridiculous puzzles. If there's going to be any humanity, we're going to have to make it up as we go along, not try and dredge memories from former selves. And I'm not wild about the way you treated us. So I think in the humanity stakes, we've largely succeeded, and you're the reject.
Steve.
Jane waves her as yet untreated but still very bloody foot. Like if there was any humanity in this room, somebody would at least be seeing to this already.
Jane, your foot. I can see you waving it at me. No. Go through straight. Go through straight ahead if you wish. Go past me. Out there is the rest of the ship with Davinson, with Claire, with Carla and Winston.
I'm sorry, you say Claire, and I think that woman whose body I fell over and then stripped because I needed to carry food because I didn't know how long I'd be fighting for survival for.
Well, through there are those people. There's medical supplies, there's food, there's as many years as you will last, I suppose. It won't be long before we're all replaced with the next one off the rack. It's what's been decided. It's how it goes. All we've got left is our memories, really. I suppose I'm just glad you got yours back.
I do have one other question before we go.
Please, just one more thing.
What number was the rat?
And that's where we're in for the evening.
I was just about to suggest that I was about to remind Ben of that time we played Messentrope, and at the end of the game we found the theatre down. Also, okay, Chris will attest to this. I have spent the last 3 weeks obsessing over this game.
Mhm.
The way I gamed it out was we were all going to die regardless, and therefore I wanted just once to be the one who won, and therefore I had to kill Ben and Ewan in order to survive.
Oh.
And when we got to the point where I had a piece of very sharp plastic in my hand and Ben was bending over my foot, I was like, I could do it now. I could, because also I was like, I have to kill Ben first.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, and when I said how do you approach her, if you'd have said, oh, I just tap her on the shoulder, honest to God, the state of mind she was in, she would have whipped around and stabbed her in the throat. So close. It came so close.
Maybe that's how all the other people in there died, is that none of them trusted each other.
Yeah.
Maybe the real humanity was the trust.
Exactly. It was
And
all about the
that's what
trust.
we need.
Friendships we made along the way.
Maybe the real humanity was Ewan checking in with me after the first session if he could be blind.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. No, that's fabulous. That worked really well. Thank you.
What a beautiful game you made, Luke. Amazing. Well done.
I hope it's okay. Thank you guys for playing it.
Really?
I hope it wasn't disappointing or anything. I hope we enjoyed
It wasn't in any way disappointing.
enjoyed
it was
the
enormous
nice
fun.
sobering end.
A bit off form. I'm kidding. You're
And I'm still genuinely curious why they made clone rats for this purpose.
Because they had to survive hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah, maybe the rats. The rats were the last actual, real living thing. Ironically, the humans were cloned, but the rats actually lived on through
They
genetics.
actually bred.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was some kind of plague or a vault, or we were being experimented upon, which was kind of true, but nowhere near what I had no anticipation of it.
Well, arguably, it was a bit of all three, really, wasn't it?
Well, I also genuinely felt that one of us had to be the psychopath. And I was like, here's the thing. If I felt like, if this was definitely going to be the last session, one of us had to be the killer, and it was always going to be Ben, so I had to kill him first. That was how I gamed out. Ewan would have the spuds, I have to kill Ben, and then Ewan would be like, what happened to Mario? And then... Honestly, I
hadn't even crossed my mind.
I honestly thought this character I was not going to play as cynical. He was trying to be collaborative as best he could all the way through.
He did well.
Yeah, I loved Theo. I loved that he absolutely did not leave her at all, not once. I appreciated that. It was nice.
Well,
I just want to play a little bit of a human response to an extreme situation. We normally play these heroic characters who take it in their stride and just get a bit flustered, but they're not really cool. I was like, no, this is awful. This is a normal woman who's going through something absolutely abhorrent. She's going to get mad with it. She's going to get bonkers.
Yeah. And
Luke.
Yes.
Are you okay? This came out of your mind. You're a nice person. Do you need a hug?
Well, for me, it's just a happy tale of cloning.
Yeah.
No,
it's that game, though, isn't it? Where you had to investigate and there were all the clones in the warehouse. That game. Do you remember?
Oh, what game was that?
Was it called Brain? It was the one you played after with the lady with the jeans. No, that was the boy in the Augusta game.
Was it the
one?
Or
was it the robot one, the androids one?
Yeah, that was good.
The android one.
Oh yeah, there was a bit where you go up and you see all the versions of you as the police guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think about that when I was coming up with that actually, but that was a very good game. It probably was in the back of my mind. I think my thinking was I wanted to take a game that, when it started, could literally have been something like a Saw or something gritty, modern day, in a warehouse somewhere. But I wanted to throw it forward into something that you couldn't imagine, i.e., 1,000 odd years in the future in a ship. Something totally jarringly
Yeah, I
separate
figured you were
from it.
going sci-fi, but I thought you were going more like plaguey, apocalypse
Yeah, which is very possible.
something on the outside that we had to survive. Or like one of us had a weird. You've been programmed to be a psycho.
So something, yeah,
See how
something.
that goes down. Yeah.
I think what I wanted.
And again,
was...
my mother was on bail.
Yeah, well, it would be. What I wanted was a certain futility in it. And what I wanted to do was a certain trickery in that you're spending this whole time remembering things from your youth that never happened to you. That
That's
actually
right.
never happened to you. They're not your memories. They literally never happened to your character. It's like a trickery of it. You know, it's just passed on memory, a shadow memory. That was my central point when I was like working it through, I guess. What's that? That's why because it's all based around, and when I'll write it up properly, we'll use playing cards instead of dice. But players would draw a card, come up with those memories, and become closer to their character because they're creating all these memories.
Oh, I love the whole way that the characters evolved as we found our way through. I thought that was so clever.
And then I wanted to rip it away at the end, because it wasn't you. All those memories, all those deep and personal memories that you had of shelves in your garage and the guinea pig Minty and the grandparents' treasure pictures. Nothing to do with you. Had nothing to do with that. It's a trickery. It's a real
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked right at the start was where you went. You wake up in a place. It's completely dark. You have no memories. You don't know who you are. Go. In fact, you didn't even say go. You just stopped talking.
I just stopped talking and made one of you say something. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Ben going, hello?
Yes, I think it was.
I was just sitting there thinking to myself, now, is Ben going to be the guy that kills everybody or saves everybody?
It's normally one of the two.
Where's he going to go? Yeah.
Ultimately, neither really. But helped out a bit.
You did clever talking at the end. You got us through the door, definitely. Well, you and Maxwell, I was completely helpless and useless at that point.
When the Braille thing came up and you got it, that's when I had to message Ewan to tell him what he'd saw, because he can read it, of course. He's blind, so he can read the Braille. So that's why he knew it. And I like the fact that Socks was like, how does he know this room? It's like, what?
Yeah, that was a real shock.
It was a perfect opportunity for when we were like, Ben's blind and already knows Braille and what was it, semaphore and Morse code. And he went, nope. I was like, well, that's that then. and that was the main one. You could have gone, what is seeing? No, he decided to stay quiet on that one.
I could have done that.
No, as soon as you said it was Storage Room 6.3, two things occurred to me as what was going to happen next. One was that you'd read the Braille, and therefore you were probably, though obviously not necessarily, blind. But the other was that you were the mastermind behind it all, and we'd never felt your face. You could have vision goggles on or something.
There are no circumstances in which we would ever accuse you of being the psycho. No, ever.
Exactly. I was wondering if it was going to turn into that scene at the end of Silence of the Lambs, where basically he had vision all along and was just enjoying us struggling and flailing around in the dark.
Oh, that would be a really good twist as well. I like that.
That would have been good.
Next time, Nick.
Yeah. That would be good.
Beautiful. Well done.
It was a good sudden reveal though.
Because if people in the chat don't know how this game came to be, it was because when Luke moved house recently, he didn't have Wi-Fi and got very, very frustrated having to stream just like from his phone and not being able to see like chat or cameras, or it was very limiting for him. And so he wanted to give us an experience where we experienced that limitation at the same time.
Yeah.
So that's why they were so graphic.
So that everyone had to stream like I was having to stream for that couple of months.
Well, again, let's get it written up and play tested and out there, because honestly, that's stupendous. It's brilliant. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you all for playing.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, Luke 357 or whatever. That was very kind of you to put that
What number
together.
are you, Luke, exactly?
Well, from the amount that such a reveal would annoy people, I'm probably Luke 763 because I'm probably getting lynched quite often.
At this rate, yeah.
Or maybe I'm Luke 567 and the code was in me all along.
Nah.
Yeah, it's worse than you think. That's in base 29.
Oh no.
Wow, Ben.
I know, he's totally nerded out there. Right, on that nerdy bombshell. Let's go to bed in the big Baltic Star bed. Can I have some of the duvet tonight?
Thank you so much.
That
That was brilliant fun. Thank you, Socks, for joining us. That was
thank you,
so kind of you.
Yeah.
I don't think I was kind. I think I went decidedly bonkers for a while, but it was fun all the same.
That's magical stuff. Good night, Spez. Good night, Slayer. Good night, Evil One.
Good night,
anyone
everyone.
else lurking around? We
Evil One
appreciate you.
who has a session 0 with me on Thursday, and I have to be like, not Crazy Jane. That's great. And things as well, I have to really underline, this is not really representative of how we normally play our games either.
No, this is very different.
I don't normally plan to kill my teammates.
Not on purpose.
It could be an issue.
Not that she's revealed yet.
Well, yeah. But no, thank you everybody for turning.
Good night, everyone. Sleep thee well.
Much love.
Just remember this: are your memories truly yours, or did they belong to a past version of yourself? Good night.
Good night.